There's a country in Europe that owns the largest island on Earth. But most people can't even find it on a map. That island is Greenland, a place of towering glaciers, frozen tundra, and tiny coastal villages. But also a land of indigenous heritage, shifting politics, and international intrigue. Though it's often mistaken for an independent nation, Greenland is still officially part of the Kingdom of Denmark, a relationship that dates back centuries, and today, sits on the edge of a historic transformation. How did Denmark, a small European nation, come to own a massive Arctic territory 3,000 kilometers away? Why is Greenland pushing for independence now? And what does the rest of the world stand to gain, or lose, if it breaks free? This is the story of Greenland, the world's largest island, the quiet stage of a geopolitical drama, and maybe soon, the world's newest nation. Greenland's geography is unlike anywhere else on Earth. It's the largest island in the world that's not a continent. It stretches over 2.1 million square kilometers, yet has fewer people than a mid-sized American town. The island is mostly covered by an ice sheet that can be over 3,000 meters thick. Only a narrow strip along the coast is ice-free year-round, where small settlements cling to the rocky shoreline. There are no roads connecting Greenland's towns. Travel between communities often requires boats, snowmobiles, or aircraft. This isolation has helped preserve local traditions, but it has also made development incredibly challenging. And despite its harsh environment, Greenland's location has made it surprisingly strategic for centuries. Greenland's first known inhabitants were Paleo-Eskimo cultures such as the Sakak, Dorset, and later the Thule, who arrived over 4,000 years ago. These were the ancestors of modern Greenlandic Inuit. They developed technologies perfectly suited to the environment, from skin-covered kayaks to snow-block igloos, to sophisticated hunting techniques for navigating the ice. Then, around 985 AD, the Viking explorer Eric the Red arrived after being exiled from Iceland. He established Norse settlements in Greenland's south. His colony flourished for centuries before mysteriously vanishing. Modern archaeology suggests climate change, soil depletion, isolation, and even conflict with the Inuit may have contributed to their disappearance. But their legacy gave Denmark a future claim to the island. In the early 1700s, Denmark-Norway reasserted its claim over Greenland, establishing trading posts and missionary stations. This marked the beginning of more formal Danish colonization. Over the next 2 centuries, Danish influence expanded, through the church, trade, education, and administration. By the 19th century, Denmark declared full sovereignty over Greenland, excluding foreign competition and tightly controlling economic life. The impacts on indigenous communities were profound: forced religious conversion, suppression of language and cultural practices, and growing economic dependence. And yet, many Greenlanders continued to practice traditional ways of life alongside the colonial system, a cultural duality that still exists today. After World War II, global decolonization movements gained momentum. But in Denmark, officials made a different move. In 1953, Greenland ceased being a colony, instead becoming an official province of the Danish kingdom. This meant Danish citizenship for Greenlanders, political representation in Copenhagen, and increased welfare support. However, it also meant tighter integration and a stronger push for assimilation. Danish became the primary language of education and administration. Greenlandic culture was often sidelined. The result was a generation caught between two worlds, growing up Danish in law, but Greenlandic in identity. In the 1970s, a wave of cultural and political awakenings swept across Greenland. Inspired by other independence movements, Greenlanders demanded more control over their own affairs. In 1979, Denmark granted home rule, allowing Greenland to govern most internal matters. Then, in 2009, this expanded to self-rule, recognizing Greenlanders as a separate people under international law. Today, Greenland manages its own education, healthcare, and resource management. It has its own parliament, prime minister, and flag. Greenlandic is now the official language. The revival of indigenous identity has also surged, through art, music, storytelling, and a renewed pride in Inuit heritage. Despite growing autonomy, Greenland is still not fully independent. Denmark retains control over defense, foreign policy, and monetary policy. But many Greenlanders believe full independence is only a matter of time. Surveys show consistent support, particularly among younger generations. The challenge is economic. Greenland's economy is small, reliant on fishing and Danish subsidies that account for about 20% of GDP. Yet Greenland holds enormous untapped potential, including rare earth minerals, hydrocarbons, and growing tourism. If managed wisely, these could form the basis of a self-sustaining economy. Ironically, climate change, which threatens the environment, is also creating economic opportunities. Melting ice is revealing new mining areas and opening sea routes that were once frozen year-round. This has drawn attention from global powers. China has tried investing in mining projects. The US maintains a major airbase at Thule. NATO has increased its Arctic presence. Greenland now finds itself at the center of geopolitical competition, and its leaders must carefully navigate foreign interests to avoid a new form of dependency. In 2019, US President Donald Trump made global headlines by suggesting that the US should buy Greenland from Denmark. The idea wasn't entirely new. America had tried to buy Greenland before, in the 1940s. Denmark said no. Greenland said absolutely not. But the moment highlighted just how strategically important the island has become. Military planners see Greenland as the Arctic gateway between Europe and North America. Economists see resource potential. Environmentalists see a fragile landscape under threat. And Greenlanders? They see outsiders with growing interest, and a growing need to protect their sovereignty. Beyond geopolitics, Greenland is a living culture. Its language, Kalaalleq, is deeply expressive, filled with concepts that reflect life on the ice. Family and community remain central values. Traditional foods like seal, whale, and fish are still important. And ancient stories are being revived through books, TV, and oral tradition. At the same time, modern Greenland faces real challenges: youth emigration, suicide, housing shortages, and balancing development with heritage. Yet there is resilience, a deep-rooted pride and a belief that Greenland can chart its own course, without forgetting where it came from. Greenland stands at a crossroads. Full independence is not guaranteed, but it is likely. The question is no longer if, but when. And when that moment comes, Greenland will face enormous responsibility to manage its resources wisely, preserve its environment, and define its place in the world. From Viking colonies to Danish rule, from colonial suppression to cultural revival, Greenland's story is one of survival, resistance, and transformation. As the ice melts and the world watches, Greenland is no longer just the largest island on Earth. It is a nation in the making. Thank you for watching Truth Travels. If you enjoyed this journey, subscribe for more untold stories from the corners of the world. And let us know in the comments, should Greenland become an independent country? Or is its future safer with Denmark?